Alright, so taking a look at the deck we're going to be running through today's best of one qualifier for Explorer. And obviously, best of one is not necessarily the best gauge for what decks are truly good in the Pioneer / Explorer format, as there's a little bit more linearity, a little bit less frequent decks you're going to see, but this is the latest version of Hiro Sukai's deck from MTGO with one important difference. That being the slots in these sideboards that are Thought Distortions are just Dragon Lord Dramokas. I've really been liking Sukai's build of the deck, and that was kind of basically based off of the old Geological Appraiser decks with using the discard outlets to make treasure tokens, and then that fuels the ability to have Torrential Gearhulks in your deck. Trumpeting Carnosaurs is kind of a backup plan, and then Quintorious obviously is the main attraction. But one nice thing about Sukai's latest builds is Discover Dispersal, giving you a little bit more card selection, so you're not quite as locked in on your opening hand, having to be the nuts. You have a little bit more card selection, and with 10 payoffs to hit, generally will keep you in the game long enough to find Quintorious and then win the game that way, or just sometimes win with a value plan. The other new addition to the deck is Virtue of Persistence, which is in some of the more rampy builds. The versions that were running Greater Tanuki and the Giant that allows you to search for a land, which is escaping me off the moment, Beanstalk Giant. The reason I like this build, number one, you're only playing 4 colors instead of 5, so you're not locked into Leyline Binding, which could get a little bit awkward sometimes, although I guess this part's still only running the 4. We're not actually running the green for ramp. So your mana is a little bit more consistent. You get to play Cavern of Souls as a way to force through your Torrential Gearhulks and Trumpeting Carnosaurs, with the third copy being in the cavern or in the sideboard. I think this is maybe a concession with the mana because the previous build had 3 caverns. The awkward part about Cavern is the fact that you have Construct, Dinosaur, Giant, so you have 3 different things to name. Obviously, you can't name Quintorious. If you could make this uncounterable, the deck would pretty much be almost unbeatable in terms of counter spells. And then the rest of the deck, Spark Double is just your best clone copy, allowing you to get non-legendary copies of Quintorious, which allows you to basically Tendrils of Agony your opponent out for each copy of Quintorious in play. And then Release to the Winds. A card that was really a gimmicky thing in some of the old Tibalt decks. Other than that, really hasn't seen a ton of play, but it is just a strictly better Clever Impersonator. The reason why I say it's better is the fact that, number one, it's 3 mana instead of 4. So it can be an interaction spell if absolutely necessary to keep yourself alive, along with Trumpeting Carnosaur, Bedeck, and Virtue of Persistence, but also allows you to reset a Spark Double, maybe the copy to Trumpeting Carnosaur or Torrential Gearhulk to get more copies of Quintorious, keep the chain going. So just the fact that it's an interactive piece that does add to your clone count, because you really do need 6 clone effects-ish to kind of have enough consistently to kill with Quintorious. That's pretty much the deck we're going to be rolling with today. Elemental Masterpiece is the worst of the ramp spells, so cutting these 2, which is one of the things I was thinking about, is I wanted to cut down 2 ramp pieces. I wasn't sure what else I wanted to do with the deck. I completely forgot about Discover Dispersal, so that Sakai found this was pretty reasonable. 10 ramp spells, 26 lands with the 4 discovery. You have a little bit more interaction. You have 2 Bedeck Bedazzle, 2 Virtue of Persistence, 3 Trumpeting Carnosaur as your ways to stay alive, along with potentially Release to the Winds. Torrential Gearhulk is kind of your wave the flag against control decks, and this gives you a nice density of threats that your opponent has to deal with. The sideboard, I still haven't played enough with this variant to play it to know when to bring in certain things. Like Languish, obviously very good against creature-based decks, Convoke, Humans, that thing. Those decks might be bringing in interaction for Quintorious, so to be able to discover into a sweeper effect rather than, a clone effect that might just get blown up. Quakebringer is the one, I know you want to bring it in against control. I know you likely want to bring it in against possibly a deck like Lotus Field combo. The decks I'm not sure of is like Amalia combo and Angels. I'm not sure if this card is quite good enough. Consign when you just need a little bit more interaction, as well as, you know, something to randomly annoy control decks with. And then Mirror Shell Crab, you know, when you need a counter spell that's not really a counter spell because, well, you can't cast counter spells in this deck because they're mana costs. These Thought Distortions should be Dragonlord Dromoka, but Dragonlord Dromoka is not legal in Explore yet, so these are kind of the placeholders for Dromoka, and Dromoka just makes a lot of sense against decks with a bunch of counter spells, or even against aggressive decks, just being another big dumb idiot that comes down, clogs the board long enough for you to eventually find your Quintorious. I think at this point that Quintorious, especially this build of the deck, is my favorite deck in the Explorer/Pioneer format. Do I think it's the best deck? Not by any means. But then again, I'm usually a sucker for relatively simplistic combo decks and just kind of finding a way to leverage them as well as possible. I was a huge fan of the Gyruda combo deck before it got nerfed with the companion thing. I was not a huge fan of the Appraiser combo because I think that was a little bit too fast and a little bit too awkward for the format, and obviously it was a little bit more all in. And Inverter combo was fine, like I enjoyed it to a certain degree, but I like a more simplistic style, like Sneak and Show in Legacy, or Reanimator combo in Legacy, or decks like that I either like to play the hyper aggressive decks like Burn in Modern, or decks like this, or Humans in Pioneer. And I've not been a huge fan of Humans for quite some time. Its weaknesses to the removal heavy decks, the Rakdos and Izzet Bet decks, and now Amalia combo. So, been kind of toying with this. Obviously, the deck has its strengths and weaknesses. But, yeah. Let's get into the matches that you're here to see. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Alright. This hand, obviously not good. Don't have any of our acceleration. Mana's a bit slow, and best of one, you just can't afford awkward hands like that. We'll try this hand, though it obviously does have the problem of no payoff, so... looks like we might be up against blue-white. Both those to the graveyard. Cavern, not exactly what we're looking for. Okay, Creative Outburst. Can go to the bottom. So blue-white is one of our worst matchups, especially in best of one, because we don't have the alternative game plans to look for, really. So really kind of at the mercy of some of our opponent's nonsense. Alright, Gearhulk at least helps-ish. So the way Gearhulk helps is the fact that it gives our opponent something at the end of a turn they have to deal with, and helps us dig towards Quintorious Combo. So, and the nice part is they can't counter the Hulk. So, construct. Go ahead and pass here. Take the hit and like it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something down there you really don't want me to get. Yeah, if you don't have Dovin's V2 or get lost, you're just dead here. Nice. Not sure why they threw away Supreme Verdicts, like unless that's their only blue cards in hand. That didn't make much sense to me. Like you really needed Supreme Verdict to clean these up. So, got a little bit lucky here to beat blue-white. This is one of our worst matchups, especially in the ones where we just have to jam Quintorious into a bunch of counter spells. The Gearhulks definitely help kind of the B game plan without a sideboard and best of one. So this hand is interesting. When I was first learning the deck, I wouldn't keep a hand like this because, you know, no Quintorious, you're an all-in combo deck. But the fact that we have Magma Opus, Torrential Gearhulk, and a couple of Trumpeting Carnosaurs to buy time. Now, Gigantha can mean a couple of things. Usually it means either heroic, heroic sacrifice, or possibly convoke. So I'm going to try this hand, especially on the play, but it is a bit risky without obviously having a quick Quintorious. Don't need another payoff. We need more mana. Blue with Gigantha. What does that even tell me? Oh, Neoform combo. Okay, well, this is going to be tricky. Don't see much of this deck on the ladder. So they kept a card on top, which means they either found their Neoform or their Delve creature. That is definitely an interesting one. Would love to find a Cavern, because they usually run Stubborn Denial. That said, if they do tap out, we might be able to find a win. Ironically, Atraxa is almost infinitely beatable. So even if they have a untap land here, if they go like Thoughtseize, they can't take both parts of the combo. So, alright. So, gotta get a little bit lucky here. It's already 2 of our shots at the combo gone. Come on, hit a Quintorious. Alright, not ideal. Four, five, six, and the last one's in our hands, so we'll just go ahead and plus. Mm-hmm. Fun's got to take Gearhulk here. crazy close game. Wow, it was a close game. Right, once again, not a hand I would have previously kept, but with 2 treasure tokens plus an interactive spell, I think this is a hand you risk, especially on the play. So, we're on the draw, I guess we are. So, Molia combo, slightly annoying, but a manageable matchup usually. Deck's all our graveyard, which is fine. Unfortunately, with having to interact, we're now a turn behind. Collected company, feels like. Need to find... Need them to not hit well off this Coco. Would that leave me dead? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Am I dead regardless of what I do here? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I kill the Wild Growth Walker, I'm dead to the Amalia. If I kill Amalia, I'm dead to the... Yeah, so we're just dead. Okay. Kept the kind of borderline hand, got punished with our opponent having multiple pieces of redundancy. It happens. Alright, 4th round. This hand is pretty good overall, so we're definitely keeping. Turn 1 thought. Nope. Okay. I was like, turn 1 Thoughtseize, we die. This is a bit risky, obviously. Probably should have played Sundown Pass, honestly. So if I would have played Sundown Pass, we could have held up Trumpeting Carnosaur there and not risked them having some random draw that would kill us here. There's nothing here that I'm afraid of, so we just go ahead and combo. And because we still have all 6 whatchamacallits in our deck, all 6 clones slash rebuy effects, we have more than enough. 20, you can do 20 damage usually with 4 of the effects, so we should have more than enough damage here to kill them. Release to the Winds, replay, Spark Double, Quintorious. Fair play to our opponent about not conceding, especially as these decks have gotten more refined. 6 clone effects are usually the norm, and if your opponent's drawn 1 or 2, possibly 3 of them, then they may not have enough to actually kill you, so... Opponent may very well be on their last loss, so it's completely understandable that they wouldn't want to concede just yet. Alright. Seeing the Jin-Gitaxias Avatar Mirror. This hand does have a redraw with Discovery Dispersal and a lot of interaction, but I don't think this hand's good enough. On 6, we'll try this. Putting back Blood Crypt for now. We do need lands, I suppose, though I probably should have actively bottomed that, because as we're staring off against blue-white, it just isn't a good matchup, and you need very specific cards to kind of overcome blue-white control, so... Opponent should quite easily know we're on at this point. Unfortunately, we can't Gearhulk to punish them here, so... This is kind of our best shot to win, and it's not actually that good of one, so... Leave that on top, it's perfectly fine play. Let this happen. The clock's annoying, but it is what it is. It's hard to beat the double make disappear hand, so... One, two, three, four, five. So 5, 6, 7. Do I dare risk a hand with... No, this hand's just too risky. I mean, we have Discovery Dispersal and several draw steps to find either a... Actually, we can't even cast Discovery Dispersal, so there's not even a consideration in this hand. This hand is quite good. I have no black mana, so I guess it's just Virtue of Persistence. Is a mirror match, perhaps? Indeed. Okay. That's kind of awkward. I don't think there's anything our opponent could be playing. I guess they could have Bedeck Mirror Shell Crab or something. Consign to Oblivion. Nope, Carnosaur, so we die. Got it. Alright, so ends our run, ironically, to the mirror match.